Welcome to Bedtime Stories of Calm and Grace. Tonight's story is The Keeper of the Last Library. Chapter 1, The Mountain Town. There is a town in the mountains where winter comes early and stays late. The houses there are built of stone, with thick walls and steep roofs to shed the heavy snow. The streets are narrow and winding, following the contours of the land, and in some places they become stairs cut into the rock itself. The people of this town are quiet and kind. They know each other's names and stories. They share what they have when times are hard. They gather in the evenings to talk and sing and tell tales of the old days when the world was different and the mountains were young. In the center of town, on a small hill overlooking the main square, there is a library. It is the oldest building in town, older even than the church at the far end of the street. Its walls are made of the same gray stone as the mountains themselves, and its windows are tall and narrow, like the windows of a castle. This is the last library, not the last in the world, of course, but the last of its kind. A library of handwritten journals, each one containing a single person's story of how they found peace. Chapter 2, The Keeper. The keeper of this library is a woman named Helena. She has white hair that she wears in a long braid down her back, and eyes the color of winter sky. Her hands are wrinkled but steady, and her voice is soft but clear. She has been tending this library for more than 40 years. Before Helena, there was a keeper named Marcus, and before Marcus, there was Anna, and before Anna, there were others, stretching back through generations, each one passing the library to the next, each one adding to its collection. Helena lives in a small apartment at the back of the library. Her rooms are simple but comfortable. There is a bed covered with quilts made by her grandmother. There is a stove that keeps her warm through the long winters. There is a table where she eats her meals, looking out the window at the mountains. She needs very little. The library provides everything that matters. Tonight is a winter night. The snow has been falling since afternoon, soft and steady, covering the streets and rooftops in white. The town is quiet. Most people are indoors, gathered around their fires, waiting for the storm to pass. Helena has built up the fire in the main reading room. She has lit the lamps, the old oil lamps that cast a warmer glow than electricity ever could. She has made herself a pot of tea and set out a plate of biscuits and settled into her favorite chair near the hearth. She is reading from one of the journals. This is how she spends most evenings, reading the words of those who came before, learning their secrets, holding their peace in her heart. Chapter 3, The Collection. The journals fill every wall of the library. There are thousands of them, arranged on shelves that stretch from floor to ceiling. Some are old, their covers cracked and faded, their pages yellowed with time. Some are newer, bound in leather or cloth, their ink still bright. Each journal is unique. Some are thick, filled with closely written pages. Some are thin, containing only a few sheets. Some are illustrated with drawings and paintings. Some contain nothing but words, but every journal tells the same basic story. The story of someone who could not find peace, who struggled and suffered and searched, and who eventually found their way to rest. Helena knows many of these stories by heart. Mahiwa, Sanjatart, Mayaptapedhusamantuveshu stories by heart. There is the journal of a sailor who spent years at sea, tormented by storms and loneliness, before he learned to find calm in the rhythm of the waves. There is the journal of a mother who lost a child and thought she would never recover before she discovered that grief and love could coexist. There is the journal of a soldier who came back from war with wounds that did not show before he found healing in the mountains and the silence. Each story is different, but each one ends the same way, with peace, with rest, with the knowledge that suffering is not permanent, that darkness gives way to light, that even the longest night eventually ends. Chapter 4, The Evening Reading. Helena turns the pages slowly. The journal she is reading tonight was written by a woman named Clara, who lived in this town more than 100 years ago. Clara was a teacher, and her words are clear and precise, the words of someone who knew how to explain things. Helena reads aloud, though there is no one to hear. I came to this library on the worst night of my life, Clara wrote. I could not sleep. I could not eat. I could not stop the thoughts that circled in my head like wolves around a campfire. The keeper at that time was a man named Johann. He was old and quiet, and he did not ask me what was wrong. He simply showed me the journals and invited me to read. I read all night. I read story after story of people who had suffered as I was suffering, people who had lost what they loved, people who had been afraid and angry and broken, and I read how they healed, not all at once, not easily, but slowly, with time and patience and grace. They found their way back to themselves by morning. Something had shifted in me. I did not understand it then. I only knew that the weight on my chest was lighter. The wolves in my mind had settled. I could breathe again. Helena closes the journal gently. She holds it in her lap for a moment, feeling the worn leather cover, thinking about Clara, who wrote these words so long ago. Clara is gone now, but her words remain, and they continue to help people year after year, generation after generation. Chapter 5, A Visitor. There is a knock at the library door. Helena is surprised. It is late, and the snow is still falling. Most people would not venture out on a night like this. She sets down her tea and crosses to the door. When she opens it, a young woman is standing on the step. She is wrapped in a heavy coat, but her face is pale with cold, and there is snow in her hair. Her eyes are wide and dark, the eyes of someone who has not slept in a long time. May I come in? She asks. Her voice is barely a whisper. Of course, Helena says. Come in and warm yourself. The young woman's name is Lena. She does not say why she has come, and Helena does not ask. Some people need to talk, and some people need to be silent. Helena has learned to tell the difference. She leads Lena to a chair by the fire. She wraps a blanket around her shoulders. She pours her a cup of tea, hot and sweet. She does not speak, does not question, does not push. She simply waits. After a long while, Lena begins to talk. She talks about her life in the city, far from these mountains. She talks about the job that consumed her, the relationships that failed, the feeling that she was running on a wheel that never stopped. She talks about the night she could not sleep, the night she lay in her bed staring at the ceiling, her heart pounding, her mind racing, her body rigid with a fear she could not name. She talks about how she got in her car and drove. She did not know where she was going. She just drove up into the mountains, through towns she had never seen, until she came to this place, this library on the hill, with its light glowing in the window like a beacon. Helena listens. She does not interrupt. She does not offer advice. She does not try to fix anything. She simply listens with her whole heart, the way the library has taught her. When Lena finishes speaking, she is crying. Not loud, dramatic tears, quiet tears, the kind that come when something that has been held too tightly finally lets go. Helena reaches over and takes her hand. "You have come to the right place," she says. Chapter 6, The Gift of Stories. Helena leads Lena to the shelves. She shows her the journals, thousands of them, stretching up to the ceiling and back into the shadows. She explains what they are, these handwritten testimonies, these maps through darkness. "You may read any of them," Helena says. "Stay as long as you like. The library is open all night." Lena looks overwhelmed. "There are so many," she says. "How do I choose?" Helena smiles. "You do not choose," she says. "You let them choose you." Lena walks slowly along the shelves. She lets her fingers trail across the spines of the journals, feeling the different textures, the rough and the smooth, the old and the new. She is looking for something, though she does not know what. A feeling, a pull, a sense that this one, right here, is meant for her. She stops. Her hand rests on a journal bound in dark blue cloth. It is not very thick, perhaps 50 pages. The cloth is worn at the corners, showing that it has been read many times. She pulls it from the shelf. She carries it to a chair near the fire. She opens it, and she begins to read. Chapter 7, The Blue Journal. The journal was written by a man named Thomas. He wrote in a small, neat hand, with the kind of precision that suggests someone who thinks carefully about every word. "I'm writing this," he began, "because I promised myself I would. Not because I have answers, but because I have a story. And stories, I have learned, are the only things we can truly give to each other." Lena reads on. Thomas wrote about his childhood, which was difficult, about his parents, who were kind but troubled, about the years he spent trying to outrun his past, working and traveling and never staying in one place long enough to feel at home. He wrote about the night he finally stopped running. He was in a city far from where he was born, in a hotel room that looked like every other hotel room he had ever stayed in. He was exhausted, more tired than he had ever been in his life, but he could not sleep. The walls were closing in, he wrote. My heart was pounding. I felt like I was dying, though I knew I was not. I got out of bed and I walked. I walked through the city all night, not knowing where I was going, not caring. I walked until my feet were raw and my legs were trembling. I walked until the sun came up and the streets filled with people going to work. And somewhere in that walking, something changed. Thomas wrote about what he learned that night, that he could not outrun himself, that the fear would follow him wherever he went, that the only way through was through, not around. He wrote about finding a teacher, an old woman who practiced a form of meditation he had never heard of. He wrote about sitting with her in silence, hour after hour, learning to let his thoughts come and go without grabbing onto them. He wrote about the day the fear finally lifted. It was not dramatic, he wrote. There was no flash of light, no voice from heaven. I simply woke up one morning and realized that the weight was gone. I could breathe. I could rest. I could finally sleep. Lena turns the pages slowly. She is not just reading the words. She is absorbing them, letting them sink into her body, letting them mix with her own experience and her own fear. She recognizes this man. Not personally, of course, but she recognizes his struggle. She recognizes his running, his exhaustion, his desperate late-night walking. She recognizes the feeling of walls closing in, and she recognizes, with a flutter of hope, that he found his way out. If he could do it, perhaps she can too. Chapter 8, The Night Deepens. Helena has retreated to her corner. She is knitting, the way she often does on winter nights. The needles click softly, a gentle rhythm that blends with the crackle of the fire and the whisper of snow against the windows. She glances at Lena now and then. The young woman is completely absorbed in the journal. Her tea has gone cold beside her. Her face is softer than it was when she arrived, the tension around her eyes beginning to ease. This is what the library does. This is why it exists. Not to solve problems, not to give answers, but to offer companionship, to show the suffering that they are not alone, to provide the comfort of knowing that others have walked this path before, and that the path leads somewhere good. The clock on the mantel chimes midnight. The sound is soft, almost musical. 12 gentle notes, marking the transition from one day to the next. Lena looks up. She seems surprised by how much time has passed. Helena rises and puts another log on the fire. There is no hurry, she says. The library is open as long as you need it. Lena nods. She returns to her reading. Chapter 9, The Words of the Wise. Lena has finished the blue journal. She sits for a while, holding it in her lap, thinking about what she has read. Then she rises and returns it to its place on the shelf. She is not done. Something in her is hungry for more. She walks the aisles again, letting her hands brush the spines, waiting for another journal to call to her. This time, she chooses a small book bound in green. It was written by a woman named Ruth, who lived in another time and another place. Ruth was a nurse, and she wrote about the suffering she witnessed every day, the patients she could not save, the weight of watching people die. I could not separate myself, Ruth wrote. Every death felt like my death. Every loss felt like my loss. I carried them all with me, 1,000 ghosts, and they would not let me rest. Ruth wrote about finding a different way, not to stop caring, but to care without breaking, not to close her heart, but to let her heart be wide enough to hold both the sorrow and the joy. I learned, she wrote, that compassion does not mean taking on others' pain. It means witnessing their pain with love. It means being present without being consumed. And I learned that rest is not weakness. It is wisdom. I cannot help anyone if I am broken. I must tend to myself as carefully as I tend to my patients. Lena reads Ruth's words. She thinks about her own life, her own tendency to absorb everything around her. She thinks about how she has taken on the stress of her job, the problems of her friends, the sorrows of the world. She has been carrying so much, and she has not allowed herself to set any of it down. Chapter 10, The Teaching. Helena approaches. She carries a fresh pot of tea and a plate of bread and cheese. She sets them on the small table beside Lena's chair. You need to eat, she says gently. The body needs care too. Lena realizes she is hungry. She has not eaten since morning, so caught up in her distress that she forgot about food. She takes a piece of bread and bites into it. It is warm and good, and she feels something in her body relax. Thank you, she says. Helena sits down in the chair across from her. May I tell you something? Helena asks. Lena nods. Helena folds her hands in her lap. When I first came to this library, she begins, I was much like you. Young. Exhausted. Running from something I could not name. The keeper, at that time, was a woman named Sophia. She was very old, and she moved slowly, and she spoke even more slowly. But every word she said was worth waiting for. Helena looks into the fire. Sophia told me that the library was not a place to find answers. It was a place to find company. The answers, she said, were already inside me. I just needed to be still enough to hear them. I did not understand at first. I wanted someone to tell me what to do. I wanted a map, a set of instructions, a clear path forward. But Sophia was right. The answers were inside me. And the journals, all these thousands of journals, were simply mirrors. They reflected my own experience back to me, showed me that I was not alone, reminded me that what I was feeling had been felt before. Helena looks at Lena. You already know how to heal, she says. You just need to trust yourself. Chapter 11, The Small Hours. The night continues. The fire burns low, and Helena adds more wood. The snow continues to fall, though more gently now, the storm winding down. The clock chimes 2, then 3. Lena has read several more journals. She has met the sailor and the mother and the soldier. She has met a farmer who lost everything to drought, and a merchant who lost everything to greed, and a child who lost everything to illness, but somehow lived. Each story has added something to her. Not information, exactly. Not advice, more like threads of a tapestry, weaving together to form a picture she is only beginning to see. She is tired now, not the anxious, restless tired that brought her here. A different kind of tired. The tired that comes after a long walk, after a good cry, after finally letting go of something you have been holding too tightly. She sets down the journal she is reading. She looks at Helena. "I think I can sleep now," she says. Helena smiles. "There is a room in the back," she says. "A small room with a bed. You are welcome to stay the night." Lena hesitates. She thinks of her car, her life in the city, the obligations waiting for her. She thinks of all the reasons she should leave, should get back on the road, should return to the life that was breaking her. And then she lets those thoughts go. "Yes," she says, "I would like that." Chapter 12, the rest. The room is small and simple. There is a bed covered with a white quilt. There is a window that looks out at the falling snow. There is a lamp that casts a warm glow on the wooden floor. Helena has warmed the bed with a hot water bottle. She has laid out a clean nightgown and a pair of thick socks. She has placed a glass of water on the bedside table, in case Lena wakes thirsty in the night. "Sleep well," she says. "I will be here in the morning." She closes the door gently behind her. Lena stands in the center of the room. She looks around at the simple furnishings, the white walls, the snow falling silently outside the window. She feels something she has not felt in a very long time. Safe. That is the word. She feels safe. She changes into the nightgown. She climbs into the bed. The sheets are cool at first, then warm as her body heat spreads through them. The quilt is heavy and soft, pressing her gently into the mattress. The pillow is perfect, cradling her head just right. She closes her eyes. She thinks about the journals she read tonight. She thinks about Thomas and Ruth and all the others. She thinks about their suffering and their healing. She thinks about the path they found through the darkness. And she realizes something. Their path is her path. Their healing is her healing. She's not alone, and she has never been alone. And the suffering she carries is not hers alone to carry. Sleep comes. It comes gently, like snow falling. It comes completely, like darkness filling a room when the lamp is turned down. She does not fight it. She welcomes it. Chapter 13, the dreaming. In her dreams, Lena is in the library. But the library is different, larger, brighter. The shelves stretch up into clouds, and there are ladders made of light reaching toward them. She walks the aisles. The journals on the shelves are not books anymore. They are glowing shapes, pulsing with color. Blue and green and gold and red. Each one contains a life, a story, a piece of wisdom. She reaches out and touches one. It is Thomas's journal, but when she touches it, she does not read words. She feels his experience directly, as if it were happening to her. She feels his fear, and his running, and his exhaustion. She feels the night he walked through the city until dawn. And then she feels the release, the letting go. Finally sleeping, she moves to another journal. This one is Ruth's. And again, she feels rather than reads. She feels the weight of all those deaths, the ghosts that Ruth carried. She feels the learning, the widening of the heart, the discovery that compassion and self-care are not opposite. She moves to another and another and another. She feels 1,000 lives, and with each one, something in her shifts. When she wakes, she will not remember all of this. Dreams fade, as they always do. The details blur and soften and dissolve, but something will remain. A feeling, a knowing, a quiet confidence that she has been given what she needed, that the library has done its work, that the healing has begun. Chapter 14, the morning. Lena wakes to the smell of coffee. The room is filled with gray morning light. The snow has stopped, and the world outside the window is white and still. She lies in bed for a moment, feeling her body. It is different than yesterday. Looser, lighter. The tension that she carried like armor has softened, though it has not entirely gone. She gets up. She dresses in her clothes from yesterday. She splashes water on her face. She looks in the small mirror above the basin and sees someone she almost recognizes. Helena is in the main room. She is sitting by the fire, which is burning brightly now. There is a pot of coffee on the table, and a basket of fresh rolls, and a dish of butter and jam. "Good morning," she says. "How did you sleep?" Lena sits down across from her. "I slept," she says. "For the first time in weeks, I really slept." Helena pours her a cup of coffee. "The library has that effect," she says. "It is not magic, exactly, but it is something close." They eat together in comfortable silence. Outside, the town is waking. Lena can hear the scrape of shovels as people begin to clear the snow. She can see smoke rising from chimneys, and a few figures moving through the white streets. "I should go," she says at last. "I have been away too long." Helena nods. "But you will come back," she says. It is not a question. Lena thinks about this. "Yes," she says. "I think I will." Chapter 15. The Parting Gift. Before Lena leaves, Helena gives her something. It is a small journal, bound in soft brown leather. The pages inside are blank. "This is for you," Helena says. "Someday, when you have found your peace, I hope you will write your story, and then you will bring it back here, and it will join the others on the shelves." Lena takes the journal. She holds it carefully, as if it is something precious. "What if I never find peace?" she asks. "What if I am still searching when I die?" Helena shakes her head. "You have already found more than you know," she says. "You came here. You read the journals. You slept. You woke. You are still searching, yes, but you are also already finding." Lena puts the journal in her bag. She puts on her coat and her boots. She wraps a scarf around her neck. At the door she turns. "Thank you," she says, "for everything." Helena takes her hand. Go well, she says, and remember, the library is always here. Whenever you need it, Lena steps outside. The cold hits her face, but it is not unpleasant. It is clean and sharp, the cold of new beginnings. She walks to her car. She brushes the snow from the windshield. She gets in and starts the engine, and she drives away down the winding mountain road, back toward the city, back toward her life. But she is not the same person who drove up here yesterday. She is carrying something now. The stories, the journals, the knowledge that she is not alone. And tucked in her bag, waiting to be filled, a blank book of her own. And now, as you lie in your own bed, in your own room, perhaps you are carrying something too. Perhaps you have gathered stories tonight, as Lena did. Perhaps you have heard voices from the past, offering their wisdom, sharing their peace. Perhaps you know now that whatever you are facing, others have faced before. The library is always there, in the mountains, in your mind, in the space between sleeping and waking. Whenever you need it, you can return. You can walk the aisles. You can let the journals choose you. You can read the words of those who came before and feel their presence and know that you are not alone. But for now, there is only rest. Only sleep, only this moment, this breath, this letting go. The fire is burning low. The snow has stopped. The world is quiet and still. Close your eyes. Feel the weight of the blankets on your body. Feel the softness of the pillow beneath your head. Feel the safety of this space, this night, this rest. You are held. You are known. You are loved. Sleep now. Sleep deeply. Sleep well. The morning will come when it is ready. And when it does, you will rise renewed. You will carry the stories with you. You will write your own, but that is for tomorrow. Tonight, there is only peace, only rest, only the gentle darkness that holds us all. Sleep now. The library is watching over you.